Hello guys, it's Glurmit here, and in today's video, we're actually going to be talking a little bit about Aphra. So Aphra is obviously one of the journey guide characters you can unlock in the game, and she's relatively accessible as far as things go. She's in the same caliber as events as Grand Inquisitor, Starkiller, and Jar Jar, and only requires 4 characters at Relic 5. However, I include myself in this, she doesn't really get the praise she deserves. If anyone's advising anyone on an account, or if anyone's ever directing someone with an account, normally the general opinion would be go for Grand Inquisitor because of Reaver, although he's extremely expensive compared to the other options. Go for Starkiller, because Starkiller's an incredibly good character, although he does need a lot of Kyrotex, he's an elite tier character. Or people say go for Jar Jar because Jar Jar's needed for the current raid, which is Naboo raid. If you watch this in the future, that won't necessarily be the case. Now, if you break it down, and I'm not going to include the ones down here, guys, because these are non-relic characters. In other words, you don't need relics at all to do these events. In fact, I even saw Nooch do the C-3PO event yesterday with Gear 7, so you don't need relics at all. But if we're just talking about these 4, I feel like Aphra doesn't get the respect she deserves. And like I said, guys, I'm saying this as someone who also falls into this trap of just saying Aphra is maybe not worth the time. Guys, if you think about it, Jar Jar, right? He's a good character. He is good. The Gungans are decent. They can beat Kylo if there's no Darkside Ray, and it's relatively consistent, which is really nice. But then his team can do it without him. He can beat Galactic Legend Ray, although it isn't the most consistent counter you're ever going to find. He does well on defense. Aside from Traya, there's not really a team which is going to come in and make Gungans really feel pain. You could include the Night Sisters with Great Mothers there. But again, how many people actually have that up and running today? I don't know. And I've been trying to load gear, and in Territory where I had way more success than in Grand Arena. So Jar Jar's obviously an option there as well. And then you have Grand Inquisitor, who, without Reaver, he's, I would say, good, but underwhelming for the amount of investment you get. I mean, there's a reason why loads of people were calling him trash and hating on him, partly because he's expensive and not many people could access him when he first came out. And then also just down to the fact that, you know, you do need Reaver to actually make them work to the best of their ability. Guys, what I've actually done is I've just pulled up Gungans on offense here. There we go. So you can see. Gungans can beat Trench, Gungans can beat Grievous, Gungans can beat some Reaver teams, although I think GI Kron kind of shut that down a little bit. Night Sisters, Balin, Trooper Gideon, like there are teams you can use Gungans to beat. Like I did say, guys, you can actually use it against Kylo, and you can actually use it against Rey. So there's some here for Rey. You can see it's a 57% success rate. Obviously, this does include lots of cleanups. And then in terms of Kylo, I don't know if anyone had success with Darkside Rey in there, but it's a 41% success rate. In fact, some people did actually have success. That's pretty crazy, right, guys? There was actually some people winning with Darkside Rey in there. And I'm wondering if you took the relic levels up and you had a favorable datacron, I could see that being a counter still. So Gungans do have their place in the meta, so they are included in this video. However, we are spending the time today talking about Aphra. We know that Gungans, what they can do, I just spoke about it. GI, obviously, we know what he can do. He can beat JMK without the help of Reaver, but it's very specific modding. Way easier in Territory where you can do it in Grand Arena, but it's incredibly hard. There's loads of videos out there. I say loads, there's some, but they're quite old. Starkiller, we know what he can do. He can beat some layers in TW. He can beat, basically, SLKR, Sith Eternal. He can beat Rey pretty easily, and you pair him with Malicos, and all of a sudden he's beating Leia and Jabba relatively easy as well. But then no one really talks about Aphra. The difference here, guys, between all of these is Gungans, Grand Inquisitor, and Aphra. You literally get the team through the requirements. Aphra is Trip, BT1, and Sana, and Hondo, and you could argue 3 of the 4 are on her team, because you can use Hondo there. I mean, Hondo is very plug and play. You then have a look at Grand Inquisitor. It is literally his team. But it's very expensive, and it's 5 characters. And 2 of those won't make the final team. So you're literally, unless you have a Seer Malakos team, and even then, Ninth Sister and Second Sister don't really make the team. You're kind of doing 2 relics for no reason with Hive as a Kairotek. Jar Jar, like we already said, I mean, all of the characters are relatively decent. You don't actually need Jar Jar to pull off some of the counters, which is really cool. Starkiller, I love Starkiller's requirements. I literally had a farming guide on it a few years ago. But none of them, I mean, 2 of them, you could argue. Mara Jade, well, one of them, Mara Jade, sorry, is the only requirement for his team. Right, you're not using Dash in his team, you're not using Kyle, and then the thing is, they're great characters, but then you need to go and build those teams. And then we have Aphra, where all the characters are really easy to get. Hondo is literally on one of the first nodes in the game, Cantina 1D. It's an 8 energy node. You know, you could get Hondo done free to play in like less than 2 weeks. You then have BT1, which is a really early node, 2C hard. You then have, oh, sorry guys. You then have Trip, again, 2A hard. It's such an early node. And the thing is, we're not talking about going for it early. We're talking about the cost of farming them, which is very, very low. There is also Lightspeed bundles, so if you do pay, you may already have Aphra anyways. And then we have Sana, who is on, not the relic level, oops. Sana, who is on Battle C for Cantina 2C. And she doesn't make the team, but she is good to have, guys, because she boosts the JKL requirement characters to a very nice level. They're not going to be an elite tier team, but they're a mid tier team, and a good roster has loads of those teams available to them. You don't want to be going up against, say, Grand Inquisitor and not have a cheap counter. You don't want to have to burn a good team every single time, and for example, Sana with her Rebel crew can beat that team. So the requirements are actually pretty favorable, and in actuality, guys, she does pretty well on offense. So I'll actually show you here. I'll pull it up on the insight here so you guys can actually see. If we was to run Aphra and we was to bring just at least Trip and BT1, you can see it can beat Java teams, it can beat Zori teams, it can beat where is it? Tuscans, Night Sisters in some cases, Treya teams in some cases. It can beat some Starkiller teams, which is always very nice. Gungans it can beat, General Skywalker it can beat. Like, it's not beating necessarily as much as the others, and I think that's also just down to the fact that Gungans are a newer team, so they're going to beat newer characters, because as characters are released, the newer ones that come out tend to beat those that just got released. Grand Inquisitor literally has Reaver as the lifter. Starkiller has his platform, his highs, which is Rey, but then you pair him with Malakos, who came out after him, and then you can go and beat those even better teams. And Aphra doesn't have that, at least not yet. But she is very nice for countering Jabba. And do you know what else is really nice about Aphra, guys? If you was to go ahead and have a look at, say, cleanups, and we went to Kylo, for example, you can clean up Kylo pretty consistently. In fact, some of the, yeah, you're not going to do it if you don't have the full team, because you can't gain Terminator. You would need to kill Hux in the opening. But you can still clean up Kylo. You can still clean up some Leia teams. No, not this one. What have I done? What have I done, guys? You can clean up Leia, but you'd want to bring a whole team there. So I don't know why I put it on exact. But basically, the point I'm getting at, guys, is you can use Aphra to clean up Lord Vader. You can use her to clean up Leia. You can use her to clean up Rey. The JML is a hard counter. You can use Aphra to hard counter JML as long as Jedi Knight Cal's not there. So I do think she is a decent character, guys, and really the video here came to mind when I was recording the next episode of the podcast, which will be the second episode upcoming because we upload them in advance, or record them in advance, sorry. And we was actually talking about that because they're pretty accessible. They give you decent characters. And I just feel like she's not that hard to get these days. And she's not a bad character to have. I think the real problem Aphra faces, or has, is she's locked into 5v5 or 3v3. And without her Omicron, she can still beat Jabba. She still can beat other teams, but it's nowhere near as consistent. And they kind of screwed her by giving her a 5v5 Omicron and the droids, which aren't even good Omicrons, they're 3v3s. But she is worth farming. So basically, guys, this video was just supposed to be me telling you guys, don't ignore Aphra. If you're someone who's farmed JKL, you're probably going to want to farm Sana anyways. And most people at this point do farm Hondo. He's a very good early game character to farm because he can be used in every single type of battle as you progress, light side, dark side. He can basically solo the mod missions on his own when he's at high enough gear. And he's an early accessible character. And then the two droids are pretty common to farm at some point because you need them for platoons, which a lot of people do. And they also make her team. So guys, this was today's video. Don't ignore Aphra. Just give her a shot, farm her up. You will enjoy it. Just bear in mind, obviously you can go for other characters, but she is one of those low-hanging fruits, and she can actually do more than you would imagine. Personally, I don't use her as much as I probably should on my account, but that's just because she's low relic. Like with everything, guys, when you unlock a key character in a journey guide, don't leave them at low gear. And unfortunately I did that with Aphra, but once I get her up the relic levels, that's my Jabba counter sorted for basically whenever I need it. So yeah, guys, let me know down in the comments, what do you think of Aphra? I would love to hear you guys and your opinions in the comments down below. I understand she's not the best character in the game, but don't ignore her, give her a chance, and you never know, maybe she makes you win more Grand Arenas. Anyways, guys, my name is Glurmit, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please like, comment, and subscribe. It does help the channel a bunch. And as always, guys, have a glurmin day.